You look like you want to get in the car, but you're
Oh,
not.
geez. He didn't get in. Get out of stealth mode. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Let's Hash It, episode number 5 for the week of February 18th, 2016. I am your host, Jay Lewis, and joining me today is a man who's probably pretty ticked off at Capcom right now. So, everybody, please welcome to the show, Nathan Hodge. What's going on, Nathan?
How's it going, guys? Just so much disappointment.
Yeah, so let's just hash this out right now, man. What is going on with Street Fighter V, man?
I don't know, man, but Capcom is seriously messed up by not releasing a full game and by not telling us. Like, just putting out a product that doesn't have all the game modes and telling us later, hey, you know what? You want those single player game modes that come with every Street Fighter game? Well, you'll get those a few months later. I
Yeah,
mean,
so
this is seriously messed up.
Yeah, so for context, everybody, what he's talking about is all over the internet, it's a shitstorm because, people are pretty much saying that Capcom bent them over and gave them basically a fighting game that was delivered to them in beta form and charged them $60. Because, like, you can literally get to screens and get prompts that say, this feature coming in March, this feature coming in June. And I think the biggest disgust is the fact that the game doesn't even have an option to let you play against the computer. So, I mean, let's talk about that, Nate. How do you feel about that not
Yeah,
being?
well, see, for, most people who are going to get the game, a lot of players like to ease themselves into the new mechanics and get used to the new characters by playing in arcade mode or against the computer and increasing the difficulty until, you get good. And without being able to do that, all you're left with is either couch co-op or online gaming. And the majority of people are going to get their asses kicked on online gaming because the people who play on there are, die-hard Street Fighter fans and know what they're doing. So if you don't have someone to play on your couch with you, then this game isn't really worth picking up right now. It's just not. I mean, how are you going to play it?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I was gonna say another thing to add to that is not only is those features we mentioned missing, but I guess there's certain characters that don't even have character animations. When they enter the game, and I'm just seeing a lot of negative about the game right now, and it just begs to ask the question, like, should they have just put this game out in June when it'll finally be a full game? You think they should have?
Well, they probably should have, and this kind of quote unquote soft release might have flown if they had been upfront with the consumers about what kind of product we were going to get on launch day. If it was common knowledge that, hey, not all the game modes are going to be present, and this is what you're going to get. Maybe they should have released it at a lower price point and charged us for the other game modes as they came out. As long as it didn't total, the regular $60 price tag, I think a lot of people would have done that. But I tell you what really bothers me about this entire situation. When I got that message from you that morning and I went and started looking for reviews on the game, I saw top establishment reviewers giving this game high marks. Like, I think IGN gave it like an 8.0 or something. And that's basically, the establishment telling us that it is okay for us to buy essentially half a game at release for full price, and it's still going to be a good experience. Now, I
Yeah,
know that, they were reviewing basically the gameplay mechanics and that, the fighting of the game is solid, of course, but this is an incomplete game at launch, and it shouldn't be getting, these highest scores, regardless of whether the game plays well or not.
yeah. I feel like lately, some of the bigger outlets, I'm gonna use IGN specifically. I just feel like they're too forgiving on games anymore. It's just like, when I see some of these reviews that are going up, I just sometimes I have to question them because, it seems like IGN is like one of the top outlets that are always praising games these days, and like I don't see them ever be hard on a game anymore, I feel like, and I just can't understand how they can call that game anywhere near an 8. You know what I mean? Like, to me right now what you have is half a game, so you should have half a score. You know what I mean? Like, if if what's there is all solid, then sure, give it a 5. But, how can you give it an 8 when you're missing like the most simplistic features in the game? Like, I don't get that at all.
Yeah, how can you have a fighting game without an arcade mode? I mean, fighting games were born out of the arcade. That is, besides fighting your friends, like the essential game mode to have with any fighting game. So, how can they not take that into account when reviewing a game? I just don't understand. They're either being paid not to review these games badly so that they will sell at launch, or they've just become so jaded by the amount of games that we're getting that it's fair to say, oh, well, this game is not that great at launch, but a few months down the road it's going to be fine, and, it'll be worth playing then. Which, for people who play video games all the time, that might not be a big deal. But when I have very limited amounts of time during my day to play games, I don't want to go out and buy a game and then realize that I've got to wait another 3 to 6 months to get all the game modes that I should have gotten on release day.
Yeah, absolutely. Now to close out this topic, what is this going to do in terms of you either purchasing or not purchasing the game? Like, how is this going to affect you?
I will not purchase this game until it's a complete game. I mean, that's pure and simple. And until they get the arcade mode in there, and I hear that, the presentation's been cleaned up where all the characters have walk-on animations and, stuff like that, then I will buy the game. I mean, I really want to play this game. I'm a huge Street Fighter fan, and I'm not going to be able to avoid it for long, but there's no way I can in good conscience support this as a consumer, and I don't think other people should either. I'm not saying that we should like boycott the game entirely, but let's vote with our wallets and tell these companies that we're no longer going to buy games at launch if we're not going to get the complete experience or a worthwhile one. We should
Now,
just save our money and wait for it.
that being said, do you think that this launch kit will hurt the game long term? Do you think a lot of people just skip on it entirely now?
Some people may. Some people may not get the game at launch and just end up forgetting about it and getting swallowed up with all the other great games that are going to come out over time. But I really don't think it's going to hurt the franchise that much, and that kind of scares me. It's like they're going to basically be able to get away with this because people are going to want to play this game like myself, and eventually we're going to have to end up getting it. And it just kind of sucks that, they might feel like they can continue to get away with this kind of business practices.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we hashed that one out pretty good, and the moral of that story is shame on you, Capcom. This ain't the first time they did something like this, and I was kind of on the fence about getting Street Fighter. I would have never bought it at launch to begin with, but now that there's all this surrounding it, all this negativity surrounding it, I definitely won't be getting it. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about is we finally have information on Fallout 4's expansion and when we can expect it. So, the expansion, we'll be getting 3 different expansions. And one thing to note is that the original season pass, in order to get all 3 expansions, was $30. If you don't buy that season pass before March 1st, they're upping the price to $50. So if you plan on getting these expansions, do it before March 1st. Otherwise, you'll have to spend $50. The first expansion that's coming out will be released in March for $10 standalone, and it's called Automatron. And basically, it just like basically you're kind of scouting out locations and finding like upgrades to power suits and things of that nature. Apparently, like there's hundreds of combinations of power suit armor that you can get now, which is pretty cool. Then later in April, I'm sorry. Wasteland Workshop will be the next one, and it's $5. And basically, what that one is it allows you to capture like death claws and enemy types, and capturing lets you tame them, and you can put them up against your settlers and things of that nature. So that will be the next expansion, and then finally rounding out the expansions is May, and this one is the big expansion. In fact, it's Bethesda's largest landmass ever for any expansion they've ever put out. It's going to cost you $25 standalone, and it's called the Far Harbor. And basically, there's a character that you meet in the game. His name is Valentine, and he is I'm trying not to spoil too much. Some people may not have played the game, so let's just say he's a detective, basically, and he sends you on a mission to go find this missing woman. So you're going to be leaving Boston and going to Maine. So that sounds kind of interesting. Totally leaving Boston behind, and obviously this is a beefy expansion. So Nate, you know where I stand on Fallout. We've talked about it, but let me just tell everyone else where I stand. So I got Fallout on launch day, and I really thought I was going to get into this game. I thought it was going to get its hooks in me, and I have given this game, so many opportunities to really grab me in. And there's good parts to be had, but my overall experience is it just could never really, like lure me in and keep me there. And I was looking to see if these expansions were going to be enough to keep me in the game and beat it and move on to these expansions. And the first two not so much, but that third expansion, Far Harbor, it sounds kind of interesting. Going to Maine and checking out a completely new area, it might be enough to get me back in. I'm going to give it, one or two more chances. We'll see how that goes. But how do you feel about that, Nate? What do you think about those three expansions?
The expansion where you can capture monsters, that seems pretty cool. Like, I like that.
Yeah, I thought so too. That seemed pretty unique, and
That
kind of like
adds
the
like
sound.
a whole new game mechanic, so that's
Yeah.
pretty awesome actually.
I wonder if it's like an artificial way to make it to where you can have these death claws attack your home base and try to defend against them. So I wonder if it's like a little mechanic that they did that on purpose. That could be really cool, just to see how well you can build up your stronghold and keep death claws out and stuff like that. So that could be pretty fun. And yeah, like it sounds pretty enticing. And if you're into the Fallout world at all, then you definitely would probably like the sound of these three expansions. So yeah, that was Fallout 4 expansion. We hashed that one out. Now the next thing I want to talk about, Nate, is GameStop put out an article. Let me pull it up right here. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Where are you taking us?
I have no idea. You got any place you want to go
I was gonna
into?
say take us to like the mountains or something.
All right.
All right, just one second. All right, here we go. All right, the article again by GameSpot. I always want to say GameStop. Um, Titled "Phone Graphics Will Catch Up to the PS4 and Xbox One in 2017," says lead hardware manufacturer. So let's unpack this here Nate. First of all, what do you think about that statement?
That's a pretty bold statement, but I think that they could be referring to simply streaming to cell phones, perhaps.
That's a interesting point you make because I was in the forums and I got into some discussions with people online and like somebody said, oh, this isn't possible, cell phones, they're too lackluster and they can't handle the processing power of a PlayStation 4. It's been proven, whatever. But, as a rebuttal, I said, well, the if you have the Sony Xperia phone, you can stream your PlayStation 4 right to your phone. So, that kind of combated his argument. And if that were the case, is that still not enticing? Does that not entice you?
That does entice me a bit, but I mean, we'll see. We'll have to see how far the technologies come because, if you can't really play anywhere on your cell phone, then it's kind of not that impressive. Like if you have to be on your home Wi-Fi or whatever to access your PlayStation 4 and play games on it, then that's kind of cool. But like if I'm at home where I can access my home Wi-Fi, why not just play my PlayStation 4?
Well, the thing about it is you actually don't have to be on your own like home network. If as long as you're on a pretty strong Wi-Fi network, then you can play it as long as you're on a strong Wi-Fi network.
Okay, so let's kind of walk through this. So like say your PlayStation 4 is hooked up to your Wi-Fi at your home and you're out and about, and as long as you have a strong Wi-Fi connection to the internet, you'd be able to seamlessly play from your cell phone. That would be really interesting.
Yeah, because that's possible right now. Because like with like the Vita, you can take your Vita on the go and say you work somewhere that has really good Wi-Fi. If you log onto their Wi-Fi, then yeah, you can access your PlayStation 4 like from anywhere essentially. So, you know, to me that sounds like that'd be really cool to be able to do. Another thing that the article gets into talking about, because people instantly were saying, well, I don't want to play on a tiny screen and I don't want touch screen controls and things of that nature. And the article basically goes on to say that they think that with that VR is going to be the future of this, because we're seeing it already with the Samsung Gear, that you can use VR with your cell phone. You just put your cell phone right into the headpiece and put it on your head. And I think that each respectable, cell phone company, like, the Androids out there, the Samsungs, the Apples, I think they'll all have their own proprietary like controllers and things of that nature. I don't think you're going to be necessarily like, sitting there with your cell phone in your hand playing, PlayStation 4 games. I think it's going to be, like I said, with the VR headset, and then you have some type of controller, like, third party controller, in your hand. Does that sound enticing to you still, or no?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, they could make it work like that. And you mean to tie it into VR with like what's that cardboard box thing that they got going where you can basically use your phone as VR?
No, it's not even. It's not even. There is like a cardboard version, but like I want to say it's the Samsung Gear. Yeah, it is. It's an actual legitimate like nice little plastic headpiece that you put on, and it actually fits on the head really nicely. It's really comfortable. I tried it out. My father, a family member of his, brought it over for Christmas, and it fit really nice on the head. And again, like that way, it gives you the illusion that you're playing on the big screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like to me, in terms of like the future of VR, like that to me actually sounds like really, really awesome because like let's look at the Oculus Rift. It just got announced that it was $600, and that's without a computer. You have to have a computer powerful enough to actually, use an Oculus Rift. Now, if all you need is the Samsung Gear is $99, and with the cell phones that we have already today in 2016, like they have really, really, high resolution. You can get 4K video on them. Like, I mean, we have really good cell phones already today. So can you imagine, let's say the end of 2017, how much better phones are going to be?
Yeah, I mean that's enough time for something impressive to be able to have on the cell phones, and if they can find a way to really link them to VR, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean it makes you really wonder if because we know Nintendo's getting big into the mobile games. Maybe they're forward thinking, or maybe they have some inside information. They know where we're headed. Maybe they're just forward thinking and they're getting ready for what's to come next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I mean it's already big out in Japan and things of those nature, or in places of that nature. So eventually it's going to catch on here in the West. So I mean, like, there's already a bunch of naysayers that are just saying that this isn't going to be a thing, but I truly think it is, man. Just seeing how fast that cell phones have evolved. I mean, you give them another, we're talking almost 2 years, because we're at the beginning of 2016, and this isn't going to be a thing till the end of 2017. So we're talking almost 2 years of development. So I really think in 2017, we're going to be playing, AAA titles on our cell phones. I can see it. I see it happening, man. And for me, I'm really, really excited about that, because to this day, we still don't have the quote unquote perfect, handheld out there. And I always said, we have these awesome cell phones, with 4K quality. Like, why can't we figure out a way to stream games to them and use whatever controller we want to use? Like the DualShock 4 uses Bluetooth, and our phones allow Bluetooth devices to connect to them. So there you go, boom, just use your DualShock, use your cell phone, and there you go, bro.
Perfect combination.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So look for that. Seems like we're both excited, right?
Yeah.
And do you agree with it's gonna be a thing?
I I think that it could be. I definitely give it a strong possibility.
All right. Well, that was cell phones and video games. So the next thing I want to talk about is two indie games that came out in February that are sitting really pretty right now on their Metacritic scores. And the first one is Firewatch, and Nate, I know that you were pretty pumped for this game, and right now it's sitting at an 82 Metacritic score. So, is that? Do you want to get on board? Do you want to play this game?
I do. I do want to play this game, and I will probably be playing it pretty soon, actually, because I'm kind of needing a new experience. So Firewatch is definitely on my list.
Yeah, so for people that don't know what this game is, basically, you are let's say like a park ranger, basically, and you're in charge of keeping an eye on any, fires that pop up in the area and stuff, and you have to investigate them, see if it was caused by man or caused by nature, and, it's basically, I think it was IGN that called it a walking simulator, and I like that term. It makes a lot of sense. This isn't a game per se as much as it is like a narrative experience where you're controlling a character and just kind of like getting immersed in the area, and just checking everything out, and just enjoying the visuals. And from what I heard, the visuals are really, really good. The weather effects are good. The day and night cycles are really good. I heard people that like to just sit and watch the sunset just because it looks so pretty. And yeah, I think that one has your name written all over it there, Nate.
Yeah, that's stuff that I would like to do in a game is, just enjoy the visuals. And from the gameplay footage that I've seen of it so far, it does look really intriguing. So, I
Hopefully
mean,
you
I
didn't
like a
look.
nice quiet experience.
I was gonna say, hopefully you didn't look at too much gameplay experience, because I think it's about a 5 or 6 hour game.
Oh no, no, I only caught a few glimpses. I think I've only watched like a couple of trailers for the game, and that's it.
Okay, well, as soon as your backlog gets kind of diminishes, I can't wait to see your your response to the game. Now, the second indie game that I want to talk about, and this one was kind of more up my alley, is called Unraveled. And right now it's sitting at a 79% Metacritic score, which is also a solid score. And basically, you take control of this character. I think his name is Yarny. And basically, what it is you are made out of yarn, and you have to use your yarn in order to um, navigate the atmosphere. And it's a 2D side scroller, but it's got top notch visuals. Like, it is a beautiful game. Now, you know about this game, right, Nate?
Yes, yes.
Did you see any gameplay footage on this?
I have. I watched the newest trailer for it when it went up on PlayStation 4, and it does look absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, you could tell that a lot of development went into this game. On top of the visuals, I heard that, the audio is spot on. I heard the soundtracks are really amazing. Um, I'll probably be checking out this game. Maybe you could check out Firewatch, and I'll check out Unravel, and we can both give our opinion, do some opinion pieces on those in the future. Or you'll
Yeah,
probably play both, knowing you.
I very well may end up playing both.
Yeah, so that was Unravel, ladies and gentlemen. Look for that one. That's another good indie title. These are great $20 games to hold you over until, big AAA releases come out. Now, the next thing we were going to talk about, and this is Nate's topic, everyone, so I'm going to let him take the helm on this one, and it's elitism. Is it hurting the online experience? So let's go ahead and hash this out, Nate.
All right, so I think a lot of us have experienced, playing online games with, you know, other players, across the internet, and eventually you'll get hooked up with the one guy who is good at everything, and if you're not as good as he is, you're holding up him and his time, and it's always a hassle, and he's going to be a jerk about it. And so we all know who the elitists of gaming is, and what that experience can be like when you're playing online. Now, for me in particular, it has got me to kind of shy away from online gaming. I generally don't really do a whole lot of online gaming because of that. And yeah, I think it's a problem. It's a problem of etiquette, right? And it comes with, the usual vices that the internet brings us. I mean, you are going to just find people on the internet who are just trolls and who troll for the pleasure of trolling. And we can't do a whole lot about those people, but if you're going to be a gamer and you're going to be really good at video games, like, try to have a sense of humility about it, I suppose. And I think I just flew over the military here, so we're going to be in some trouble.
That we
So,
are. That we are.
all right, so let me get out of here. But yeah, I just, like, I didn't do a whole lot of online Destiny because I would get paired up with people that were really much better than I was. And I'm so casual when it comes to first-person shooters that, I can get distracted by shiny things in the environment, and that doesn't happen to these other guys.
Yeah, let me cut in
So
right here. Let me cut in right here. I want to ask the question: do you actually think that, because of these elitists that are playing these first-person shooters, do you think that that's keeping you away from those games? And do you think that it's keeping you from, what you could be enjoying, like doing raids and things in Destiny? Do you think it's basically that, is that the number one reason that you don't like playing, online shooters?
right, because I didn't touch a raid unless I was playing with you or people that I knew. I would never even dream of trying to get together a raid team with strangers online, because I wouldn't want to have to deal with the hassle of being that one guy who's going to be lagging behind the entire time because I have no idea what I'm doing. and people not having the patience to tell me like how to do things. So it definitely scared me away from doing a lot of the online stuff in Destiny.
Yeah, like for me, Destiny year one, like whenever I would try and get a raid team together and go do Crota's End, like there was always a little bit of nervousness on my part, and I can imagine like how people, and I think you might even fall into this category, Nate, like people that have anxiety, like I think this would trigger it. Like, is there some truth to that? Like, did you feel
Yeah, there
anxious?
is. Like, yeah, because I don't do well in large social events. Like outside of like one or two people, I kind of clam up and I get nervous easily. So having to do something like that online with strangers that you have to get a big group in, and knowing that, you're not really knowing what's going on, that does kind of, play into it a lot.
Right, absolutely. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about is, in the early 2000s, let's say the Halo 2 era, um, they were better about, your rank and matchmaking you with people who were maybe more on the same playing field as you, like maybe more casuals, and then they put all the elitists together because they'd be like, super high ranked and things of that nature. And I feel like it made the online experience a lot better. And I feel like lately they've just kind of gotten away from that mentality to where they just put everybody on the same server, and it's like, it's just so hard. You know what I mean? Because when you're playing a game like Call of Duty, and if you don't play as often as say Joe Schmo, who plays every day for 12 hours a day and has all the best weapons in the game and all the knowledge on the maps and things of that nature, it's like you're gonna get owned. Like, that's what makes you elite, is having all that free time on your hands. And they're the ones that if you get paired up on their team and you're not holding your weight, it's gonna be your own teammates that are bitching you out at the end of the match, like, dude, you suck, and like all those things. I used to like to play Call of Duty, honestly, but now that I'm a little older, I have a wife, I have a full-time job, the amount of time that I'm able to put into gaming now is nothing like it used to be. So I feel intimidated to go play games like that. And it sucks because I used to love those games, but I just feel like I can't play them anymore because I don't want to be the guy that on the team, dragging the team down, that gets bitched at.
Yeah. That doesn't make for a positive gaming experience. And a lot of us who have limited time to play video games, we just want to get on and play for fun. And yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say another thing too is like one of my most anticipated games this year is the new Ghost Recon game. Like I'm looking for a shooter to get me back into shooters, and I'm so hyped for the game. But like I have this inkling inside me that I just know that it's gonna be just like all the other shooters where I go to get on these servers and I'm just getting my ass kicked to oblivion to where I don't want to play the game. And my question to you, Nate, is like, how do we like get past this? How do we get online gaming back to where it needs to be, to where you get on to have fun with buddies or even random people on the internet and not get trolled, not get made fun of, not get laughed? Like, how do we move on?
I think we just need to come up with better ways of matchmaking to really get a good online experience. If they can come up with a way to get communities together and let you pick who you want to play with out of certain communities, that might be one way of doing it. And there might be people who are already doing it this way. I don't know because I don't play a lot of online gamings, but
Right. If there are groups like this, they're hidden from the filthy casuals that we are.
yeah, like they shouldn't be separate from the game itself. I shouldn't have to like go online and find a community online of casual players in the same vein as me. It should be a system within the game itself that allows matchmaking with people of your own play style.
Yeah,
And
there needs to be a revolution. Somebody needs to to do it to where they make a community and they just post it on, like, let's say PlayStation 4 for example, and just, you know, make it to where this is a safe place to game. This is a place where we're all going to treat each other decently, or extremely decent if you will. And you know, it just needs to spread like wildfire, you know, like somebody just needs to maybe we need to be the guys to do that, Nate. You know, like
Right.
just start this community and be like, hey, this is our MO. We just want everybody to be able to play these games in a safe environment and not get made fun of. And, you know, somebody needs to do it, man. Maybe it needs to be me and you.
Yeah. I mean, elitists should know that, you know, if you're going to play in the online realm, that's fine, but there needs to be a place for them too. There needs to be
Right,
high
right.
tier stakes games so that they can get what they want out of gaming too. Well, you know, let's be very clear that we're not like, you know, completely dissing the elitists or anything. It's just
No,
more
no,
of an
no.
attitude in gaming, and we should be playing games with people of like-minded attitudes in order to, you know, have a great time playing. I mean, that's what we want to do, right?
That
That should
being
be our
said,
mission statement.
yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, that being said, I want to capitalize on what you just said. Like, you know, let's put ourselves in the elitist shoes. Do you think that they want to be on servers populated with other people like them? Or do you think that they like actually being able to sit there and no scope noobs and, you know, just sit there and go 31-0? Like, how do you think their mentality is?
I would be willing to bet that most elitists want to play at their level, and even sometimes they're forced by bad matchmaking to play with, you know, people who have no clue what they're doing. And they're going to get frustrated too. They have valid reasons to get frustrated with the matchmaking that they're placed with because they can't find the challenge that they're looking for in a game. So, I mean, you know, it's completely valid for some of these situations to arise, but, you know, we need to recognize that there should be some amount of etiquette as well.
Absolutely. Well, do you have anything else to add to this topic, or you good?
I think I said pretty much all I wanted to say about it.
Yeah, so to kind of wrap that up with a nice little bow, let's just treat everybody decently, people. 2016, if you don't do anything else this year, just let's tear these walls down. Let's stop calling each other bad names. Let's stop being racist. Let's stop being hateful. Let's stop being homophobes. Like, let's just all get along. Like, you know, we all get online to play video games to escape all that kind of stuff. Like, let's make video games the safe haven, you know, that we can escape all those social injustices, and let's just move forward, right?
Right. Let's do
Hur-
it.
Hurrah! All right.
Hurrah!
Now the last thing, and this is my topic, so everyone's aware. I want to talk about video games being released broken, buggy, and in need of constant patches. So, Nate, let me go ahead and get your take on this first, because I mean, in lieu of Street Fighter V being guilty of this, like, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I come from a couple of camps on this. On one hand, it's good for publishers who are forced by, companies to put their games out in broken states that they have a way to fix them in post. But on the other hand, it is becoming an excuse for companies to rush games out to the public and then practically beta test them on us and then fix them later after getting all our money. So we're on a really slippery slope with this DLC thing and day one patches because it's basically become like what next generation gaming is. When I buy a game for my PlayStation 4, I have to expect that I'm gonna have to spend like maybe an hour installing an update file before I can even start playing the game out of the box.
Yeah, I think that's a real big problem. Now let's get into some of the issues that we actually experience when it comes to these games coming out broken. Now, I think the number one biggest issue we see time and time again is frame rate issues. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, because I experienced frame rate issues in Witcher 3 when I first started playing it. And
And what
even
did
though it
that
didn't
do
like
to? I was gonna say, what did that do to your immersion and your experience with that game?
it, honestly, in Witcher 3, it wasn't terrible. It really didn't take me out of the experience that much, and the frame rate didn't drop often enough that I felt like it was I felt like it was a nitpick to even bring it up. But now having it fixed, it's so much better. Like to have that kind of smooth just frame rate, I guess. But I don't know. It seems like in the case of Witcher 3, when you get a game like this that's already so good with so much content and it has a little hiccup like that, this is one of those cases where it feels like it was a good thing to have that additional DLC, to have this patched in post. Because the game was so good to begin with, it was forgivable. But, say like how Street Fighter is doing this, that's not so great because the content is not there.
Yeah, I was gonna say like with me, like that's the thing that bothers me the most is I feel like they're pushing the envelope on games so much in this day and age that frame rate issue is always a constant issue. And like one of the things that was promised with next gen technology was frame rate issues were going to be addressed and taken care of. And we just heard all these good things about how the FPS experience was going to be so much better because servers weren't going to be bogged down with these really sketchy frame rate issues. And it's turning out not to be the case. Like Fallout 4, when it first came out before any patch, like we were seeing frame rate issues dip down into the teens. And you know like I know it's first world problems, but you know I would rather a game, lower the resolution and lower the frame rate in order to give me an overall smoother experience. Or maybe cut back on the draw distances, or maybe have less, NPCs on the screen at one time. Like, sometimes it's like there's an overabundance going on in the game that's like so unnecessary. And to point out a game in particular that was like that I keep hearing talked about is Assassin's Creed. Like people in the Assassin's Creed world, like because they got to have such a populated, uh, I don't know, what do you call it? So many NPCs on the screen at once that it literally just chugs along. And a game like Assassin's Creed is all about the fluid movements and moving through the environment, all the parkour and things of that nature. And when you get these dips in the frame rate, it takes you out of the game. It takes you out of the immersion, and it's frustrating. You know? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's I don't know. It's one of those things where it's good that it's in place to fix games that may have not been fixed, but having companies abuse this to just make a quick dollar is getting to be a real problem in this next generation of gaming.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other issues we see pop up a lot when it comes to games that need patching is prime example. Here we go again. Street Fighter Five. Apparently, the servers have not been working, and with a game that like you said at the top of the show, that you can either only play couch co-op or online multiplayer. When the servers don't work and they need to patch a quick fix in, like sometimes these patches don't come for a week. So basically, you have a game that's pretty much useless. So let's talk that out.
Yeah, that's terrible to think that you bought a fighting game and the only way you're going to be able to really play it consistently is like if you got a buddy that has time to play it with you. That's really not good.
Yeah. Um, And the last thing I want to talk about is balancing issues. A game like Destiny, prime example. The back and forth of weapons getting buffed and nerfed and buffed and nerfed, and like one weapon you like one moment, is awesome, and then they nerf it into oblivion because it's the current meta and everybody's using it. Like, that's one of the things that discouraged me away from Destiny is I got tired of that back and forth, balancing that kept going on. Like, I wish games would just kind of get it right, at the start, because you get used to playing like a certain play style, you get comfortable with it and you start enjoying it, and then next thing you know, it's like, oh, you're not going to be playing like that anymore because we noticed that shotguns were too powerful, so now to combat that, we're going to make them irrelevant, and now all of a sudden sniper rifles are going to dominate, and then everyone's just going to camp, and then it's like you either change up your play style or you just stop playing the game. So what's your
Right.
thoughts on that?
Well, that I think they're going overboard with Destiny and how much they've been tweaking the game. It's different when you tweak a game to perfection, but it seems like that they keep changing things in order to just keep the game different
Right.
and
Change up the
keep it
meta.
coming back,
Yeah.
which is it's an interesting way to try to, have a game work, I guess. Like, I don't know of any other game that does this. And what I really would like to see out of Destiny is like they have all these game modes that only become available for a certain amount of time. Why are they not all available all the time? You know, what is the reasoning behind the limited events? And, you know, just I don't know. The whole Destiny experience seems so strange to me. It seems so unlike normal gaming. I really don't know what to say about it actually.
Yeah, like that is definitely one thing that I hate is when, let's say, certain game types or game modes like are only around, let's say, through the weekend, or this particular week out of the month or whatever. It's like I hate when a game does that, because for people like us that work in the retail industry, like 9 times out of 10 we're working all weekend, so we just totally miss out on this content because we don't have the weekends off like a lot of other people. You know what I mean? Like, so we're just locked out of that content. So, but yeah, man, I wish they'd start, you know, putting games out that aren't broken. And you know what I like to refer to that as, Nate?
What's that?
I call it the Nintendo formula, because Nintendo rarely has to patch their games. They work out of the box and they're polished. Like when those games ship and they're in your console, they're ready to go. Like, do you agree with that?
Yeah, being someone who plays a lot of Nintendo games, yes, I can definitely confer that that is the case, and I have to give a lot of respect to Nintendo for doing that. I mean, they're the only ones putting out quality games right now. There may not be a lot of them, and they may not all be the best, but their mainstay titles, they come out and they work. You don't have day one patches for them. You get a lot of content with your game. They seem to be the only people in the game race right now that's not, accepting these new trends that are being set by, corporate America and mobile gaming and, just uh I don't like the state of where gaming is going right now. I can say that much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like in 2015, it became a mockery, like talking about how broken games were, and like people were just getting tired of it, and already we see that creeping into 2016 with, like even a smaller indie game like Firewatch. I heard it has hiccups on the PS4, like some frame rate dips, and like I want to see this not be a thing. Maybe games don't need to run at 60 frames per second. I think I'd rather have a locked 30 frames that are solid than 60 frames. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, because from what I know, 60 frames per second isn't even trackable to the human eye. Like, so I don't know why they have to run that smoothly to begin with.
Yeah. Well, I think we hatched that out pretty good. Is there any closing statements that you want to make? Anything
I,
to our fans? Anything you want to close out with?
oh, I'm so bad with goodbyes. I just don't know, Jay.
Well, one thing I will say is that we're still a work in progress, people. We've been doing this 5 weeks now, so we're just over a month. And one thing that we're trying to set out to do is to get better every single week, have better content, have better topics, have better audio, have better just everything. We're trying to do better. Today we tried to do a stream of GTA's adversary mode, but because video games, sometimes it doesn't want to work. So we're gonna keep trying to get better, and hope you guys stick around and evolve with us, and we promise to keep banging that drum. We promise to keep the content exciting and fresh, and we're always gonna challenge ourselves. And yeah, that's all I really got to say.
All right, all right.
Yeah. All right. Well, until next week, we do this every Thursday around 9 in the morning, and usually I post the podcast sometime around 7 p.m., assuming I don't have editing to do. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us for episode number 5 of Let's Hash It. See you next week.
Whoa.